Okay, it is Monday, and we previewed it. Dan Riskin joining us on the couch with more stories in science and tech to really blow our minds. Dan, hope you had a nice weekend.
I had a great weekend.
Awesome.
Where's Sonia?
Yeah.
Did she slip through the couch cushions here?
I just kind of pushed her back.
Pushed her out of the way.
I think she's lying behind the couch.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of lying down, we know how important sleep is for our bodies, Dan, and there's a study backing that up, and we do that every day around here.
You take a nap, eh?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
you know what? This is a study that shows that you actually are smarter when you wake up from a nap as compared to if you just rest for that time. And for this study, they had a bunch of undergrads. They gave them these puzzles to solve. And basically, the undergrads were able to solve some of them, but not all of them.
Right.
Then they took a 2-hour break. Half of the students took a nap. Half of the students stayed awake but rested. And then they came back to the problems. And the ones that they hadn't been able to solve suddenly became solvable for the people who took a nap. And the people who didn't take a nap didn't have that kind of success. And they found, in fact, that the more you slept, the higher the likelihood you would solve the puzzle. So
really?
It's like your brain connects things. It sees patterns. It sees connections between what you already know and what you're trying to figure out. All these things happen while you're asleep. So listen, if you can't take a nap at work, fine, but do get enough sleep at night because the sleep really does help you be smarter.
Right.
Yeah, and so many other things. Sleep helps with not just energy, but also calories too. Apparently, if you get less sleep, you're going to eat 22% more calories in a day. This is what I heard from a doctor on a podcast.
Wow.
So it really affects the whole body in so many different ways.
And sleep is one of the great biological mysteries. I find it fascinating that animals all become unconscious half the time. Like, it seems like the worst thing you could possibly do, evolution.
You would think, yeah.
Like you want to avoid predators. You're going to be unconscious and just like in a what?
Right.
That's true.
So why it evolved in the first place is one of the unsolved mysteries of science.
Yeah, that's amazing. They're their own anesthesiologists. It's
Yeah.
great. Okay, so Dan, let's talk about what makes a good leader.
Yeah, this is a nice study. You know, there are certain people that are socially dominant. They're the people that when everybody goes to dinner, they sort of hold the conversation. And those people tend to be natural leaders. And in a workplace, they often become management, right? But a new study shows, what tested the idea, like, is a person who's socially dominant actually a better leader?
Right.
And so they gave them a bunch of puzzles to try to solve. And here's what happens. People that are socially dominant are super confident. Like, absolutely, I know that answer, but they're no better than anybody else.
Right.
And so this is interesting, and I've been thinking about it a lot because in some workplaces, you just want somebody who's confident. It doesn't really matter where you're going, right? It doesn't really matter if they get the optimal solution. As long as everybody's on the same team, having a confident leader can help. But if you're a heart surgeon, and you're trying to decide
you don't just want someone who's like,
which thing to cut or defusing a bomb or something. You want somebody who's right. And so in those kinds of circumstances, those kinds of workplaces, just having people rise to the top based on their personality type is not the best way to do it.
A good way to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of it's
Very
flex
interesting.
too at these dinner parties.
Yeah.
It's
You're socially dominant.
I know, which means I'm a terrible leader. Ask my husband.
I'll take your word for that, Jen.
Okay, thanks.
In the meantime, Dan, AI, of course, a massive innovation that has shaped the way the world operates. But there's a new study that AI could start reading our minds?
So AI already reads people's minds with consent. So the way that
with consent,
there are a lot of people who lose the ability to communicate. Like ALS is a disease, for example. It takes away your ability to talk. Wouldn't it be nice if you could just have a thought and have it displayed on a computer screen? They're working on that. And so what they do is they show people a bunch of pictures or listen to a podcast and they record the brain waves, and then from brainwave recordings, the AI can guess what the person's looking at. And so if a person forms an image in their mind, AI can project what they think the person's picturing in their head. And it takes a ton of training, and you have to have it trained on just you.
Right.
The big breakthrough is that they've found a way to train it on one person and then use it on another person.
Okay.
And so we're getting closer to the idea of, like, if, God forbid, there's an accident or something and you're unable to communicate, that this kind of technology could be brought in without having done a bunch of training beforehand.
Without that asterisk, does that sound at all appealing to you, to have someone reading your thoughts? I would not want that.
Believe me, that's part of the conversation. Because what if you're being interrogated and they're reading your mind and you don't want... So far, as long as you just keep thinking elephant, duck, elephant, duck, elephant, duck, it'll ruin it. Like, as long as you just come up with random words and think
I
those...
thought those two words were key.
No, elephant, duck. Now people are going to think about elephant ducks all day. But as long as you think of something to throw it off, right now, you can still throw it off. But that's still a good 6 months from the future.
6 months. It's crazy.
My phone already knows what it should pop up on my Instagram Explore page. So
that's true.
I'm pretty sure we're already halfway there.
The algorithms are smart.
They are.
Okay, Dan, thanks for blowing our minds as usual. We'll see you back here next week.
Sounds good.
There we go.
Thank you, Dan.
Break.